Okay, so have you ever wished you could just kind of hit the refresh button on your life? Like a total do-over. But this time, you get to call the shots.
Mm.
Well, today's deep dive is all about taking those reins. We're cracking open the creative use of imagination by Neville Goddard.
Oh, cool.
And let me tell you, this guy, he does not mess around.
Mm.
He's talking about infinite worth, seeing God, the pearl of great price. Sounds kind of intense, right?
It definitely goes deep.
Mhm.
Yeah, Goddard's big idea is that your imagination isn't just like some whimsical daydream factory.
Right.
He says it's the very force that shapes your world.
Okay, I'm listening, but I think a lot of us, we hear that and we're like, prove it.
Right.
I can imagine winning the lottery all day long, but my bank account's not changing.
And that's where Goddard would say, I think you're missing the point. He'd probably ask, are you just picturing that winning ticket, or are you, living it? You see, it's not enough to just have a fleeting thought.
Right.
It's about believing it on such a deep level that it becomes your reality.
So it's not like wishing on a star. It's more like becoming a different version of yourself. The version who actually has that winning ticket.
Exactly. Goddard calls this your internal state.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. If you're going around feeling insecure, that's a state.
Okay.
You're broadcasting insecure vibes, and you're likely to attract situations that kind of mirror that back to you. But if you can shift your internal state, if you can start feeling confident, that changes the entire game. It's like upgrading your Wi-Fi for a stronger signal.
Okay, now that's an analogy I can get behind. So instead of affirmations alone, it's about embodying that feeling, really feeling it in your bones.
You got it. Imagine you spill coffee on yourself before a big meeting. Awful, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, most of us, we dwell on that, replay it in our heads, let it ruin our day. But Goddard would say, hold on, what if you could choose a different reaction? What if instead of getting frustrated, you chose to find it funny? You laugh it off. You tell everyone it's your lucky shirt. You shift your state from stressed to amused.
So it's not about denying reality. It's about choosing how we react to it, and in doing so, choosing the energy we put out into the world.
Precisely. Goddard would argue that those reactions reveal our true internal state, and they're constantly shaping our reality whether we realize it or not.
So it sounds like we're talking about a conscious choice here, right? Instead of just letting our emotions run the show, we're stepping in and we're saying, actually, I choose to feel this way instead. But how do we actually do that, especially when we've spent years, reacting in a certain way?
That's the million-dollar question. And Goddard provides some pretty powerful tools. One of them he calls revision. And it's kind of like having a time machine, but for your own experiences.
Okay, now this sounds interesting. Time travel to rewrite past mishaps. Tell me more.
It's not exactly, Marty McFly or anything, but it's close. Let's say you totally bombed that presentation you were dreading. Instead of just replaying those awkward silences and the sweaty palms in your head, you would use revision to mentally go back and experience it the way you wish it had gone.
Yeah. So I'm picturing myself nailing the PowerPoint, delivering that killer closing line, maybe even getting a standing ovation.
Exactly. And here's the key. You're not just visualizing it, you're feeling it. You're feeling that confidence radiate through you. You're hearing the applause, you're basking in that post-presentation glow. Goddard would say that by repeatedly revisiting that revised experience in your imagination, you're essentially teaching your subconscious a new way of responding.
So instead of being haunted by past stumbles, we can actually use them as opportunities to rewrite the script in our minds. That's a game changer.
It really is. Think of it like this. Every time we react to something, we're kind of creating a groove in our subconscious. Revision's like taking a chisel to those old grooves, smoothing them out, and then carving new ones that align with the experiences that we want to have.
I'm starting to see how this ties into Goddard's whole I am philosophy. It's like every time we say I am followed by something, whether it's I am confident or I am a failure, we're adding another layer to those grooves.
Exactly. Goddard believed that those I am statements are incredibly potent. They're like commands to your subconscious, telling it what reality to create. So if you're constantly saying things like, oh, I'm so awkward, or I'm terrible with money, guess what? You're just reinforcing those realities.
It's like that old saying, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Except in this case, it's more like, be careful what you say you are, because you just might become it.
Precisely. And the good news is we have the power to choose our words and therefore choose our reality. So instead of saying, I'm not good enough, what if you started saying, I am capable?
Yeah.
What if you started claiming the qualities and experiences that you desire?
It's almost like we're planting seeds, right? With our words. And our subconscious mind is that fertile ground where those seeds can take root.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Goddard would love that. He was all about using imagery and metaphor to make these concepts stick.
And speaking of metaphors, there's one chapter title in this book that really caught my eye, The Pearl of Great Price. It sounds kind of biblical.
It does. And Goddard definitely uses that biblical framework to explore some deep truths about what we truly value. Like,
Yeah.
what are we willing to sacrifice everything for? What is that one thing, that pearl,
Yeah.
that holds the key to like unlocking our greatest potential?
Okay, now you're just teasing me with this pearl. But seriously, it does make you think, what is that thing that we hold most dear? And how can we use Goddard's teachings to help us attain it?
That's the journey he invites us to take. And he'd argue that it starts with understanding the power of our own imagination. He even goes so far as to say that what we perceive as like accidents are actually just involuntary manifestations of our internal state.
Whoa. Okay, so you're telling me that, like, if I trip and spill my coffee, it's not just clumsiness. It's because deep down I wanted to wear that latte.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But Goddard might ask, what was going on in your mind just before that happened? Were you feeling anxious, distracted, maybe a bit out of control? He saw those seemingly random events as externalizations of our dominant thoughts and feelings, even if we're not consciously aware of them.
So it's like our subconscious is sending out these smoke signals, and then the universe is responding in kind.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And that's why Goddard places so much emphasis on self-awareness. It's about becoming so attuned to our inner world that we can catch those negative thoughts and feelings before they manifest in our external reality.
It's like we're all walking around with these powerful broadcasting antennas strapped to our heads, constantly sending out signals. And the universe is tuned in, loud and clear.
And remember, those signals are not just limited to our conscious thoughts. Our subconscious mind is a powerful force, and it's often broadcasting beliefs and assumptions that we're not even aware of.
Which brings us back to those I am statements. It's like we're programming our own subconscious mind for better or for worse.
Exactly. Every time you say, I am, followed by something, you're literally feeding that statement into your subconscious,
Right.
which then sets about making it a reality.
It's both empowering and a little terrifying at the same time.
Right. Absolutely. But knowledge is power. And by understanding these principles, we can start to take conscious control of our reality.
So what would happen if we truly embraced the idea that our imagination isn't just like a source of entertainment, but like a force capable of shaping our world? Where would we start? What would we create?
Those are the questions God leaves us with, and I think they're worth pondering.
I agree. This has been an incredible deep dive, and I feel like I've got a whole new set of tools to play with. Thanks for guiding us through it.
My pleasure. Remember, your imagination is your superpower. Use it wisely.
And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep creating the reality you desire. Until next time, happy imagining.